To describe Jesus' message, the early church borrowed a term from the culture. That term was good news. It was an ancient term, or gospel. Notice how Matthew frames the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 4, verse 23. Flip back there. He's framing the sermon. He's describing Jesus' message, both in the sermon and in Jesus' public ministry, which begins here, exactly here in Matthew's account. So if you flip back in Matthew chapter 4, verse 23, we read, Jesus went throughout Galilee teaching, okay, this is teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom. Notice the parallelism. Teaching is in parallel with good news. They're not, for Matthew, two different things. They're actually two different ways of saying the same thing. Jesus' teaching is good news, and he's using this term, gospel or evangel. The Greek word is euangelion, a good announcement. So what did that word mean in the ancient world? Well, here's what it meant. Good news was the declaration of an objective, history-changing event with great implication for all people. An objective, history-changing event with great implication for all people. Now, let me give you two examples of that. First, the Battle of Marathon in 496 BC. The Persians under King Darius, remember King Darius, were invading Greece, and the Greeks were greatly outnumbered, but they won. The Greeks won. Battle of Marathon. It was a surprise. And they sent a message by a herald. A runner ran 26 miles back to Athens to tell that city, rejoice, we've triumphed, our enemies are defeated, the battle is over, we won. See, it was an objective, history-changing event with great implications for all people. Good news. By the way, then that little runner, he died. Do you know the story? This is the origin of the modern-day marathon. It's named for that city. It's about a message. He was exhausted. So that's marathon. Let me give you another example. The birth of Caesar Augustus, 63 BC. Caesar Augustus was the founder, of course, of the Roman Empire. He ended decades of strife and civil war after the murder of Julius Caesar. Augustus unified, or Octavian, he unified the Roman world and brought a universal peace at that time. Now, if you go to Berlin today, there's an inscription in the Berlin Museum that dates to 9 BC, very early, it's just before Jesus. And here's what it says. It's talking about Augustus. God sent him as a savior for us to make war to cease, to create peaceful order everywhere. And the birthday of this God was the beginning for the world of gospels, there's our term, good news, evangelion, that have come to men through him. It's called the Priene inscription. It's just before the birth of Christ. And here we see the Romans are using this term, good news, about their emperor. Good news. God, they say, sent Caesar Augustus to be born, to make war cease, to create peaceful order everywhere. See, for them, this is an objective, history-changing event with implications for all people. Good news. So here's the question for us. What does it tell us? What does it tell you that this is the term that was used for Jesus' message? For Jesus. As though a battle had been won? As though a peaceful order were coming to all creation? As though there had been a history-changing event to which we all have to respond? One way to understand the message of Jesus is to read the 4 biographies of Jesus. And again, if you haven't done that, please take some time to read these biographies. They're called Gospels. They called them good news. Nothing else had been called that, biographies, until this moment. And they're summaries, essentially, of the message of Jesus. They're summaries of the message about Jesus. So if you read them, what do you find? What do they tell you? Well, yes, they contain ethical teaching, but only as an implication or as a consequence of an event. And that event is the life, death, and resurrection of God's dear Son. That's the event. See, all 4, they speak of Jesus' strange birth, wondrous teaching, miraculous healings, and most importantly, his sacrificial death to atone for our sin, and his resurrection from the dead on the 3rd day. This is the good news of Jesus. This is the good news that is Jesus. Another way to understand the message of Jesus is to read the letters or the epistles of his followers. Remember St. Paul, a hostile rabbi? He did a 180 when he met the risen Jesus on the road. And St. Paul, he would summarize the gospel, the message of Jesus, this way: the good news that God has reconciled the world to himself in Jesus Christ. That God had reconciled you, me, the whole world to himself in Jesus Christ. See, Paul's saying it's like the Battle of Marathon. It's like the birth of Augustus, only much, much better. Rejoice. Our King has triumphed. We are forgiven. Death is defeated. The battle is over. He won. And if he wins, we win. Good news. See, I would say you can't understand Jesus unless you understand the difference between good news and good advice. Good news and good advice. If you ask a friend, what does it mean to be a Christian? Most people will say, well, do you try to be a good person, or you do your best? You keep the 10 Commandments or follow the Sermon on the Mount. But listen to me, this is just good advice. It's do this, don't do that. It leaves everything up to you. And the problem is, you'll never know if you've ever done enough. You're still on the treadmill. This leaves you radically insecure, whether you're a religious person or not. This is the house that's built on sand, actually. On the other hand, good news. Good news is not about what we do. Good news is about what God has done for us. I mean, if God has entered the world to forgive our sin, to reconcile him to ourselves, to rescue us from death, then we have true security. Because now everything we do is founded on the perfect and complete work of God in Jesus Christ. Right? I'm rescued, forgiven, loved, adopted, empowered, commissioned. No, a Christian is someone who believes good news. And that brings radical security. Because now everything we do is founded on Jesus. I mean, that's a house that's built on rock. That's why I say the rock in your life is the word of his life.